Hello students, welcome to E-Pathshala. My name is Arjinder Kaur and I am an assistant professor in the Department of Political Science, Postgraduate Government College, Sector 11, Chandigarh. Through this module, today we will be discussing about India's role it played in the organization of non-alignment movement and in United Nations. Starting with non-alignment movement, India has been not only an important participant in NAM but has been the co-founder of NAM through Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, who was actually the father of non-alignment movement. The main purpose of having this movement was to establish global peace and to not align with any of the blocs during the Cold War. Also, it was the main aim of this organization to develop the countries which were newly independent during those times. After this, India's role in United Nations has also been of great significance both for United Nations as well as India. India has not only been playing its important role in United Nations for peace building projects, but it has also been playing its important role in building United Nations itself and making it more important and relevant with the passage of time. In this module, we'll discuss India's position in these two organizations and how these two organizations are developing with the changing world order and coping up with the changes of the time. Main purpose of this module is to give information to the students regarding India's role in different global organizations in general and about the NAM and UN in particular. Here, a detail of India's activities in NAM is provided with a view to present the basic thought of its foreign policy goals, which are not only contained towards its narrow national interests, rather it was an enlightened foreign policy to handle the largest issues of the humanity, particularly of the developing societies. On the one hand, India is making aware these societies about their ills, whereas on the other hand, it is also making concerned efforts to find out solution to those issues. In this context, prevailing problems are resolved in a peaceful manner, benefiting all the nations of the world. Similarly, by joining the UN as primary member, goals of India's foreign policy have been to get the objectives of UN implemented so that problem of larger humanity can be addressed. Besides, India has been fighting against any type of exploitations and discriminations forced up on the poor and marginalized nations. India is also instrumental to debate the issues of arms control and disarmament so that peace and tranquility can be established in the world. Even in contemporary times, it is also fighting for reformation in this body through democratization of Security Council. Moreover, it is also concerned with the resolution of global problem of poverty, illiteracy, environmental degradation, human rights, etc., so that an equal and peaceful world order can be established. The future issues like climate change and global warming are also discussed for the welfare of succeeding generations. India's role in NAM. India's role through NAM was not only limited to the attainment of its foreign policy goals, but also to achieve a long-term objective of global peace and security. Hence, its efforts have been to work in all those areas through which tranquility in the world can be established. Therefore, main role of India through this movement was related to the followings: fight against colonialism, imperialism and racialism. India became independent long after the rule of British colonial masters. That is why it was vehemently opposed to colonialism of any kind. Hence, along with its own independence and sovereignty, it simultaneously fought against the colonial rule being remained in large part of Asia, Africa and Latin America. For it, the movement of NAM has to oppose all kinds of dominance and hegemony by foreign ruler. India neither followed an expansionist policy nor allows other states to follow expansionism. Similarly, it was against discrimination based on colors of the skin. That is why these aspects form the core issues of fight by the NAM, and India provided leadership to such protests. It was against any kind of domination and hegemony by the few global powers on large population of third world countries. Support for newly liberated zones. In the post-Second World War, various states of Africa and Asia became free, but their political stability and economic stability were question marked. India through NAM fought for their independence and end of colonial rule. Simultaneously, it prevented the outside intervention of powers and gave support to the idea of self-determination. When they became politically independent, their survival was very difficult due to poverty, illiteracy, disease, exploitation, etc. Hence, since the third NAM summit at Lusaka 1970, India raised the issue of new international economic order so that a non-exploitative economic system based on equality can be established. Hence, it made serious efforts for the viability of newly liberated zones. Efforts for the establishment of NEO. In the decades of 1950s and 1960s, political agenda of independence and sovereignty got importance in the activities of NAM. But after attaining these goals, it was realized that political systems of countries of third world are not technologically smoothly. Then it was realized that without economic independence, political freedom is false. Hence, since NAM's Algiers summit in 1973, economic agenda required the center stage. Here, existing Bretton Woods model, that is, World Bank, IMF, and GATT of economic development was criticized, and efforts were made toward the establishment of new international economic order. It is envisaged that this new model needs to be equalitarian and just, as the earlier system was discriminatory, favoring only the economically advanced nations. Collectively, these states raised the issue in the UN General Assembly and were successful in getting a declaration for the establishment of NEO on 1st May 1974 by the UN. During the Cold War era, NAM countries put the political pressure on the developed world in the form of North-South dialogue to get the same implemented, but they failed to succeed in the matter. In the post-Cold War era, when economic issues got significance, then also these efforts of NAM were not realized. Now this became all the more ardent to achieve because of process of globalization and awakening of NAM itself. However, India is still making efforts through the new regionalism approach and joining new permutation and combinations through 10R and ARCs, SAFTA, ASEAN, EAS and other such forms. It is also making efforts at collective level to stop the adverse impact of the working of MNCs on the developing countries of NAM. Efforts towards disarmament. Since its inception, India through the Forum of NAM is engaged in its efforts towards disarmament in the world. India has raised such issues in all the forums of NAM and though their collective assertion in the UN. In the early 1960s, it was instrumental in approval of Moscow Test Ban Treaty through the Conference on Disarmament in the UN. It was also instrumental in the passing of NPT in the UN. But India always raised the problem of discriminatory nature of nuclear proliferation regime through the Forum of NAM. As a result, NAM was able to get the decade of 1970 declared as Decade of Disarmament by the UN. However, India's such support did not continue in the NAM in 1990s. It is because on the issue of CTBT, India got marginalized not only in the UN but also among the NAM countries. This became evident during the voting on CTBT when most of the NAM countries did not support India. Later, even when India contested for temporary membership of UNSC, only 40 out of 113 NAM countries voted in favor of India. When India declared itself as nuclear power after Pokhran II in May 1998, NAM countries did not look more positively towards India. But this scenario changed later on as India continued to make commitment and support for disarmament despite attaining nuclear status. However, NAM's declining influence in the post-Cold War era did not allow it to follow such agenda more aggressively. Fight against discriminatory nuclear regimes. Since Second World War, three important nuclear regimes were concluded at global level, that is, Partial Test Ban Treaty, Moscow Test Ban Treaty 1963, Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty NPT 1970, and Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty CTBT 1996. Though India has been instrumental in getting these regimes framed both individually and collectively through NAM, yet it always remained critical of the discriminatory nature of these treaties. As far as first regime was concerned, India not only supported its culmination but also joined this regime. But later, treaty was not banning explosion of various forms as well as have no full proof of mechanisms towards the goal of disarmament. Hence, through the support of NAM countries, It was instrumental in the conclusion of NPT. But when it realized that this treaty is based on double standards, that is, one for nuclear halves and another for nuclear have-nots, it rejected it and did not sign it even till date. It protested it to be discriminatory. Later, in the changed global scenario after the end of the Cold War, it jointly sponsored the case for a comprehensive treaty. But when the draft of CTBT came, it raised objection to this treaty and refused to sign the same. However, US itself did not ratify the same. Hence, that treaty could not become an approved document. In this context, one thing has been certain, that though India supported the cause of nuclear disarmament, yet it has never been in favor of discriminatory regime to be imposed on non-nuclear states of the developing world. Therefore, it always saved the NAM states from the nuclear blackmailing by nuclear powers, strengthening the foundation of peace. India did not organize the NAM only for a limited purpose of attaining independence for the colonial regime of Asia, Africa, and Latin America countries. Rather, its larger objective was towards the establishment of global peace. To attain this objective, NAM raised the issue of the ending the colonialism and imperialism, opposition to domination by the power, opposition to Cold War, and nuclear weapons. Establishment of neo and smooth working of organizations. Thus, functioning of NAM was not only limited to the welfare and development of developing states, but was also to strengthening of very foundation of peace in the global order. Hence, all the activities of NAM were not only related to the welfare of its members, but also beneficial for the humanity at large. India was always instrumental in the system of these activities. India's role in the United Nations. India is not only a primary member of the UN but also took part in all the activities done by this organization. Besides, India has been instrumental in the strengthening of very basis of peace through this organization. India's role and contribution through UN can be evaluated through its participation in the following activities. Faith in the UN system. India not only supported the process of formation of the UN but also committed itself to the purpose and objectives of this organization. India's strong commitment towards this body is manifested in the form of its policy on Kashmir issue. It not only took this problem of resolution by this body, but also never regretted its non-resolution by this organization. India's faith in this body is mainly derived from its core values pursued by it during its freedom movement. During its freedom struggle, India always supported the sovereignty, independence, and development of states and end of colonial and imperial rule. Besides, India always aspired for the establishment of a peaceful world based on non-violence. Similar ideals were later on followed by India and under its policy of non-alignment. Hence, there is a greater degree of convergence between the main values of UN and India's foreign policy. Therefore, India has deep faith in the working of United Nations system. Strengthening of basic foundation of peace. To promote peace through the working of UN, India has been instrumental in strengthening the very basis of peace. At the outset, India's struggle for independence was not only limited to its own freedom, but was also helping other states to get this right. Besides, India fought consistent war against the apartheid system through passing of different resolutions in the UN. India always supported through UN right of self-determination of the newly independent states of the world. Besides, it also introduced numerous resolutions to end poverty, diseases, and unemployment in the states of Asia, Africa, and Latin America. India ensured that all trust territories should get independence. Through various bodies of UN like UNESCO, WHO, ILO, FAO, etc., India always supported the cause of well-being of poor and marginalized states. It also favors the process of sustainable development and optimum utilization of resources so that all nation states can develop themselves. It believes in Gandhian principles that the Mother Earth has enough resources for fulfilling the needs of all, not for the greed of all. By supporting all these issues, India has enhanced the prospects of global peace in the times to come. Conflict resolution through pacific settlement. India always favored the resolution of conflicts through peaceful and non-violent means. It is because it believes in the process of consensus and coordination among states. Here it becomes inevitable that use of Chapter 7 of UN Charter should be minimized and use of Chapter 6 be maximized. But it must be made clear that India has never been in favor of reductions in the powers of UNSC and simultaneous increase in the powers of UN General Assembly. In the post-Cold War era, India is in favor of making UNSC more effective through its democratization. India feels that since world scenario has significantly changed during present times, hence it becomes inevitable for this organization to reflect the change in permanent membership because UN has to be relevant in terms of horizontal and vertical changes witnessed in its membership. Besides, new challenges in the world is facing today also makes inevitable for the UN to adopt this changed context. In this era when weapons of mass destruction are available in plenty, use of pacific means for the settlement of disputes is only option with the UN. Efforts towards disarmament. India has always been in favor of complete and comprehensive disarmament through the UN system. As early as 1954, Jawaharlal Nehru gave a proposal for standstill agreement of nuclear weapons in UN General Assembly. Later on, India was also instrumental in disarmament activities through Conference on Disarmament of the UN. In all the regimes concluded towards of nuclear weapons by the UN, India played important role in realization of goal towards disarmament. Besides, in the third special session of Conference on Disarmament convened in June 1988, Rajiv Gandhi put three-phased proposal for the elimination of nuclear weapons in 2010. Through this process, India was in favor of establishment of weapon-free society based on non-violent means. But it is also a fact that India was always opposed towards the establishment of a discriminatory or unequal regime for this purpose. Though not much success has been achieved by the UN in this regard, yet India has always been active in different activities in this manner. In this context, India has always taken a principled stand to establish the weapon-free world based on non-violence. Establishment of NEO. India believes that for the establishment of a peaceful world order, need of economic equality among nations is also very vital. It also favors the reduction of gap between the countries of North and South. And for this purpose, India, along with those developing countries, has consistently opposed the Bretton Woods model because of their unequalitarian and discriminatory nature. So, it made concerned efforts towards the forming of new international economic order by replacing the earlier trio of IMF, World Bank and GATT. For this purpose, efforts were also made to have a two-way dialogue between North and South as well as South-South cooperation. Though UN has been pressurizing to pass a resolution towards the establishment of NEO on 1 May 1974, yet nothing much has been attained in this direction. Situation became all the more adverse in the post-Cold War era because this issue got marginalized in contemporary times. The replacement of GATT to WTO has further strengthened the old model of Bretton Woods. Now India is making efforts through new regional groupings to take advantage of the changed scenario. Support for peacekeeping operations. In present times, peacekeeping operations of the UN got significant highlight. India since inception has been participant in such activities of the UN. By now, India has already taken part in nearly 43 UN peacekeeping operations in which it has made available approximately 1,60,000 military personnel to the UN. It not only contributed forces for the operations but has also performed important role during such activities. In these operations, India provided military advice and 13 commanders to the UN forces. India has unique distinction of providing one women battalion for UN operation in Liberia in 2007. To materialize such operations, India has to spend huge money from its exchequer. Besides, it has also faced problems in terms of loss of its soldiers in such combat operations. India's commitment to the cause of peace is such strong that despite above problem, it always agreed to such operations. As a result, India used to be consulted by numbers of times by the UN on various issues confronted by peacekeeping activities. India also conducted different seminars and conferences to create awareness in different countries. India's role always got global appreciation. Because of India's neutral stance in such activities, its services were always in demand by United Nations. Its role in UN peacekeeping activities is always acclaimed as ideal and exemplary for other nations. Thus, India always tried its best to promote global peace by supporting various activities of the United Nations. Let me conclude by saying that India, which is an important participant in the non-alignment movement and United Nations, and what role India has been playing in the promotion of these two organizations separately. In terms of its role in the non-alignment movement, we know India has been promoting world peace and global peace at the time of its inception. But not only global peace, India has also been a participant in developing the countries that got independence during those times. These countries which just got independence were economically weak, and India has been playing an important role for fostering their economic structures. Also, during the times, India also played an important role in making and uplifting these countries at the political level. Along with this, India's role at the United Nations is not only in terms of following the agenda of United Nations, but is also playing an important role in making UN more relevant and important in the times. India has been sending its peace forces to the United Nations, an act which has been very important for United Nations and the countries where these forces were required. So, concluding these two organizations and the relationship India enjoys with these two states and these two organizations, we can say India is playing a very important and significant role in these two organizations.